The Kansas City Chiefs are gearing up to take on the Las Vegas Raiders in a game that they should win. They should win this game. They're supposed to win this game. And in this series, the one thing to win series that I've done on this channel for the Chiefs this season, normally what I talk about here is something executable, right? The Chiefs have to go deep. The Chiefs have to be aggressive. The Chiefs have to win on third down. Things like this. But this game is a little bit different, and it's different for a very good reason. In my opinion, the Chiefs are kind of remembering who they are. So in this game, the one thing that the Kansas City Chiefs have to do in order to win is keep going. We have seen a very strange season this year from the Kansas City Chiefs, and strange on all levels, strange in every phase of the game. On the offense, they were not quite connecting. On the defense, they kind of let Justin Herbert do whatever he wanted. On the special teams, Harrison Butker has still missed a field goal in every game. All of these things are weird and out of place for this franchise, but when we look around the NFL, and you look at, for example, what's going on with the Bengals, and all of a sudden, Joe Burrow is out again, and for a while there, it looked like the Bengals might just kind of forfeit on the season. Joe Flacco looks like he's going to be elite Joe Flacco once again, but for whatever that's worth, that's what that's worth. Then you look at a team like the Ravens. This year, supposedly, they were going to be one of the powerhouses of the AFC once again. It looks like they've quit on their season. And guys, that's more or less how this is supposed to go in the NFL. Normally, you've got like a 2 or 3 year window where you are a legitimate contender to actually win the Super Bowl, not by some type of default, right? Like, you can have Super Bowl champions from time to time that just get on a hot streak in the playoffs. You can have a Super Bowl champion from time to time that gets lucky a whole lot, all the bounces go their way, etc. You've got, when you are one of these teams that is a powerhouse, normally there's like a 2 or 3 year window. You see it with the 49ers. You're seeing it with maybe the Eagles this year. The Chiefs have been there in that should win the Super Bowl discussion for 7 years now. They are coming up on year 8 consecutive in that discussion. They have to remember who they are and keep going. And when we look at this season so far, week 1, the Chargers, the team was flat, and it looked like losing Xavier Worthy knocked the wind out of the team. The defense was out of sorts. It looked like they were expecting more runs. They got more passes, and nothing just clicked in that week 1 game. Week 2, against the Eagles, the Chiefs lost. But they were punching the Eagles in the mouth the whole game, and they looked like they found themselves defensively, but somewhere along the line, football just kind of happened, and two teams that were supposed to be pretty good, one of them has to win, and on that weekend, it was the Eagles. Week 3, the Giants. The defensive momentum carried over, and the Chiefs beat a team they were supposed to beat. And in that second half, the offense found itself a little bit, and the Chiefs might not have blown the Giants out, but they kind of dominated everywhere but the scoreboard. Then we had week 4, which was the ultimate coming out party for this team. They carried the momentum from the second half against the Giants into that next week versus the Ravens, and they might have ended the Lamar Harbaugh era in Baltimore for all intents and purposes. Keep your eyes on this space. This is becoming an absolute catastrophe for Baltimore. The Chiefs then find themselves back at 500 at 2-2 after starting 0-2, and all of a sudden it's starting to look like maybe they are over this rut. And then the Jaguars happens. Week 5 at the Jaguars, everything falls apart, but just a little bit. And the team looked in flashes like themselves from time to time, got out to a big lead, and then bled out, basically, on the football field. And in the closing moments, the Chiefs forgot who they were, The Jaguars drove the field, and the Jaguars win in front of Chris Jones. The Chiefs fall to 2-3, and all of a sudden things are looking as if maybe this is going to be one of those seasons. One of those seasons that it seems the Eagles, for example, are suddenly finding themselves in. Maybe, right? Still early on the Eagles. I'm not willing to write them off yet, but it looks, I mean, look at not 2024, but how things went in 2023 for those Eagles. So that is sort of where the Chiefs might have been. And then, you've got the Lions coming to town. Week 6, the Lions. The Chiefs, for what it's worth, get devastating news leading up to the game. They will be without what looks to be their franchise left tackle, a guy who had been playing above and beyond anything that they could have expected. Now, mysteriously, hours before game time, you realize you don't have that player. Rashee Rice still is not back, and the Lions are the big, bad bullies of the NFL. Nearly everywhere has them ranked number 1 in the league in their power rankings, for whatever that is worth. The Chiefs had every excuse in the world to feel sorry for themselves and come out dopey. Instead, they bully the Lions so bad that the entire city of Detroit has spent a week going through a messy divorce on Twitter. Brian Branch thought he was Floyd Mayweather over an imaginary block in the back, and the Chiefs put up 30, all while holding the offense, the best offense in the NFL, to 17 points. Here is the big deal. The offense put up 30 against a pretty good defense, whether or not that defense was with or without all of their pieces. Everyone's beat up a little bit. They still put up 30 points. They could have put up 34 very easily, and if they had their foot on the accelerator towards the end of the game, who knows how nasty things could have gotten. Not only that, not only was the offense clicking on all cylinders, they held the best offense, the highest scoring offense in the NFL, to just 17 points, meaning both sides of the ball were executing in fantastic fashion. The Chiefs figured out who it is that they are. They have Patrick Mahomes. They have Steve Spagnuolo. The offense can be high scoring. The defense can hold teams to a 3-possession score. And so, okay, well, the Lions didn't have all their defensive players. Well, Patrick Mahomes didn't have to score 30. You're telling me that if the Lions had one more of their defensive backs, Patrick Mahomes would have only scored 16 points? He wouldn't have found a way to score 18? I highly beg to differ. The Kansas City Chiefs dominated that game. It wasn't even as close as 30-17, and it wasn't as close as the score was when it was 17-24. It just wasn't that close. So, the Chiefs we saw versus the Lions are a Super Bowl type of team. That is a team that can win the Super Bowl regardless of opponent. This is the Raiders. The Raiders opened up the season winning against the Patriots 20-13. At that point, we still didn't know who the Patriots were. I mean, 6 weeks in, we don't really know who anyone is. But week 1, we didn't know if the Patriots were going to be more of last year's Patriots, more of this year's new edition of the Patriots. It turns out they are making that transition into the new Patriots. Then you go to, or you host the Chargers and lose 20-9. Not a great game, right? Not a great look. The Chargers had just beat the Chiefs, then they go and beat the Raiders. The next week, you get absolutely spanked by the Commanders to the tune of 41-24. Then you lose to the Bears, 25-24. And then the Colts do an absolute whooping on you, 40-6, before the next week turning it around and beating the Titans 20-10. Yes, the Raiders are only one game worse in record than the Kansas City Chiefs at 2-4. Versus 3-3. And no, the Raiders have not had an easy schedule. The Titans are the only team on this list that is below 500. And the Raiders have been beaten by multiple scores in 3 of their 4 losses. Beaten by multiple scores against the the Chargers, multiple scores versus the Commanders, multiple scores versus the Colts. The only single possession loss they have is the Bears, 25-24, and that sounds like an embarrassing loss, but right now the Bears are 3-2, so maybe it is not quite so embarrassing a loss. All of this said, the Chiefs simply have to remember and execute in the way that they are constructed. This Chiefs team can be a Super Bowl winning squad. I said all off season, look, it's possible that the Kansas City Chiefs are a better team with a worse record, and mathematically they will indeed have a worse record no matter what happens going forward. But the Chiefs do look like they have the makings of a super team, being able to hold the Lions to 17 points when they were scoring 30-point-something points per game. They had, for I believe 4 consecutive weeks, scored 35 or more. This was a team primed to come in and beat Kansas City. They did not beat Kansas City. The Raiders, for what it's worth, are playing at times decent football. But when they're not playing decent football, they're playing absolutely atrocious football. That is what gets them beaten by the score of 40-6 by the Colts. So, what the Chiefs have to do, the Colts have bought into the fact that they're a Super Bowl team. It looks like they have bought into that, and they are executing in that way. Whether or not they are, we will have to wait and see. But they have the best record in the NFL, and it looks, on paper, that they are going to be a contender deep into the season. The Chiefs are one of those teams as well. They have spent 2 years prior to this not executing like one of those teams. When Patrick Mahomes and the offense kind of cooled down was when that defense really started going, and it got them some Super Bowls, right? It got them 1 Super Bowl victory, 1 Super Bowl appearance, with the defense carrying the majority of the workload. Now, the Chiefs might be on the precipice of being one of these teams that is able to absolutely destroy opponents because their offense and defense are both clicking. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not designing, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on the channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.